Hello, I'm Janet Morena, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to Just Ask Janet. Well, tonight, if some of the children are still awake, it's time to gather them around because tonight's show is for children. It's also for grown-ups too, but especially for the young people because we're going to be featuring two beautiful Christmas books that are written for children by one of our executives, Anthony DeStefano. Well, the first story we're going to hear about is called Little Star. This was Anthony DeStefano's very first children's book that he wrote for Christmas. And it is by far my favorite because it really puts the true meaning of Christmas and it highlights for us why do we put a star on top of our Christmas tree? So let's now listen to the author, Anthony DeStefano, as he reads Little Star for us.
Hello friend, I'm Pat Boone. I'm a granddaddy now, and one of the things I most enjoy is reading a good book to my grandkids. It's a special experience for them and for granddaddy as well. Now I'd like to do something special, read something to you that I think you're going to enjoy. It's a wonderful Christmas book for kids. It's called Little Star, written by a longtime friend of mine named Anthony DeStefano, who's written some other best-selling books for kids. This one I think is destined to become a classic. Little Star. I think you're going to enjoy it as much as I do. This is the story of the little star. Dad, which one is the Christmas star? The boy asked, straining his eyes as he looked out at the clear, dark sky. The father, smiling, looked down at his son. Don't hurt your eyes looking for him. You won't find him. He's not up there anymore. Where is he? Where did he go? You mean I never told you the story of the Christmas star before? No, Dad, never. The boy shook his head. Please tell me. Well, a long time ago, in the farthest corner of the universe, there was a tiny star. In fact, he was the smallest star in the heavens. His name was Little Star. Little Star was sad and lonely. The other stars didn't make fun of him. They simply ignored him because he was so tiny. But what can be worse for a star than to be ignored? After all, stars do little more than decorate the sky. They help pass the long evenings by twinkle talk. And there was a lot of twinkling going on. The other stars were all talking about a rumor they had heard for ages, a rumor that a king would soon be born on a faraway planet called Earth. It was known that the king had a special message that would change the whole world forever. As the great day approached, excitement among the stars began to build. A special reward was to be given to the star who could shine the brightest on the night the baby king was born. In preparation, the stars were being cleaned and dusted by long-tailed comets. They made them twinkle and sparkle and give off a much stronger light. All except Little Star, who was being ignored again, despite his tears. Little Star was so sad that his points drooped. How could an undusted star have any chance of winning the reward? Finally, on the coldest night of the year, one of the stars yelled, "It's happening! It's happening! The king is going to be born!" Far below, in the small village of Bethlehem, Little Star could see two people, a woman sitting on a donkey and a man walking beside her. He watched as they searched for somewhere to rest. It was bitter cold, and Little Star felt sorry for them. Wherever they went, no one seemed to want them. People can be cruel too, he thought. At last, The man and woman located a place to stay. It was a shabby stable, but at least it gave them protection against the icy winds. This is a strange way for a king to be born, thought Little Star. Then, with only the silent stars as witnesses, the child was born. The mother wrapped the baby in a blanket and carefully placed him in a straw-filled manger. The baby's name was Jesus. "He can't be a king," one of the stars said. "Kings aren't born poor. We've been fooled." Feeling disappointed, many of the other stars agreed. But Little Star kept looking down at the baby. Suddenly, a thought came to him. "I think I understand," Little Star cried out. "The baby Jesus is a king. He's just little." Little Star knew that Jesus could have chosen to be born in a palace surrounded by riches, but instead he had humbled himself to be born in a stable. He didn't want to be rich and important. He wanted to be like the poorest of the poor. Jesus wanted to be born little to show all the people of the world that he loved them, no matter how small or poor they were. Of all the stars in the heavens, Little Star was the only one to understand the king's message. His message was love. Little Star's heart was bursting with joy. He wanted so badly to touch the child. Trying as hard as he could, he used all his strength and might to reach out with his light toward the earth. Burning brighter and brighter, he extended his rays down to the village of Bethlehem, into the cold stable, warming and lighting it with his love. The other stars were amazed. They had never seen Little Star so big and bright, but they were scared that he was burning too brightly for such a small star. "Stop," they all yelled. "Stop, or you'll burn yourself out." Little Star could not hear their warnings. He was only aware of the child in the cold stable. All through the long, cold night, Little Star burned as brightly as he could so the baby Jesus could be warm. When dawn came, the star that no one had ever noticed was tiny and gray. "Little Star is gone," the other stars cried. "He burned himself out." "Well, son," said the father, "that's the story of the Christmas star." "But he's gone," the boy felt very sad. No, he's not. He's not gone at all." The father patted his son's hand to reassure him. "You see, Little Star did a wonderful thing that night in Bethlehem. He gave his life so that baby Jesus could be warm. And God gave him a great reward in return. Little Star will be remembered forever and ever." "You mean Little Star isn't gone?" the boy asked. "No, he's alive," the father said. "Every Christmas when we celebrate Jesus' birthday, people all over the world place a star on top of their Christmas tree to remember him." The boy looked up at the star on top of the Christmas tree and smiled.
Isn't that a beautiful story? And every time I watch it, I still get a little choked up. And of course, I always put a star on the top of my Christmas tree. How about you? Do you put a star up there? Or maybe if you don't, now you've got a good reason to do it. Well, if you're interested in getting this beautiful book, Little Star, written by Anthony DeStefano, just go to our online store at prolifeproducts.org. Order it now. It's a beautiful, beautiful gift to give your children or your grandchildren. I've given this book to my grandchildren, and every Christmas they open it up. It becomes one of those classic stories that we look forward to. I don't know about you, but I have children's books like this. I pack them away with my Christmas decorations. And then every Christmas, when we take them out, it's like they're new to us again. And we read each and every story. So Little Star has a beautiful, beautiful meaning. Again, go to prolifeproducts.org and place your order today. Well, after Anthony wrote a Little Star, a few years went by. And I guess he got inspired once again. And he wrote another Christmas story called The Grumpy Old Ox. You might be wondering, what does a grumpy old ox have to do with Christmas? Well, stay tuned now because we have another opportunity for you to listen to this story, see the beautiful pictures as Anthony DeStefano himself reads this story. So let's now listen to The Grumpy Old Ox.
The Grumpy Old Ox, written by Anthony DeStefano, illustrated by Richard Cowdrey. There once was an ox, grumpy and old, blind as a bat, selfish and cold. Prideful and lame, with tired old bones, he lived in a stable, depressed and alone. Without any family and no friends in sight, he stayed by himself from morning till night. His master, like him, was stubborn and vain. He owned a small inn where visitors came. He gave the ox orders, the ox disobeyed. Defiant and willful, he wasn't afraid. The man took a broom and with a loud smack, he gave the old ox a whack on his back. You lazy and sightless and smelly old brute, the innkeeper shouted and kicked with his boot. The ox simply sneered and grumbled with pride. He limped to the stable and lay down inside. The stable was dark, but he didn't mind. He stayed there alone, just bitter and blind. Then, one black night, a door opened wide. A man and a woman were standing outside. The owner was with them. He said with a grin, "You'll have to stay here, no room at my inn." The ox strained his eyes, attempting to see. He barely detected the forms of all three. The lady was pregnant and heavy with child. The man held her hand and tenderly smiled. He put a small blanket on top of the dirt. The woman lay down, about to give birth. The innkeeper left them all cold and alone, without any food and so far from home. But something odd happened that memorable night, something that gave the ox quite a fright. A shutter flew open, and in flooded light. A star in the heavens was dazzlingly bright. It made the small stable feel pleasant and warm. In this simple setting, the child was born. Strange as it seems, the ox became sad because the young family was treated so bad. "I'm all by myself," the grumpy ox sighed. "The reason is that I'm so full of pride. But this little babe, so humble and poor, is guiltless and precious and perfect and pure." Just at that moment, He had an idea. He struggled to stand and limped over near the manger he ate from, all filled up with straw, and pulled it across the cold stable floor. He looked at the woman. In ox talk he said, "Take my straw manger for your baby's bed." He limped to the pail from which he drank water. He picked up the handle and carried it toward her. He put the pail down and said with a bow, "Wash him with this. I'm not thirsty right now." The lady just smiled and patted his head. She understood somehow the things that he said. She bathed her small baby and dressed him in white. He slept in the manger throughout the cold night. Soon shepherds came in, along with their sheep. They knelt by the crib and watched the babe sleep. A donkey and camel came through the door. They walked very slowly and knelt on the floor. 3 figures followed. Each wore a crown, each bearing gifts, each kneeling down. What can be happening? Who can this be? The grumpy ox squinted. I wish I could see. He strained with his eyes and thought for a while, then looked at the child and started to smile. This baby is special, sent down from above. Yes, that's why this stable is so filled with love. That's why these people are worshiping him. He must be from God. He must be a king. The rest of the night, he knelt on the earth, next to the feet of the girl who gave birth. The family soon left to find a new home. With everyone gone, the ox was alone. He thought of the babe, so loved and adored, while he, the old ox, was shunned and ignored. I'll try to be different, the grumpy ox swore. I won't be so prideful or mean anymore. He walked to the manger. His hunger was great. He stuck his head in and rapidly ate. Then he felt thirsty and looked over where the babe had been bathed in the bucket with care. He drank from the pail until he was done, and soon fell asleep outside in the sun. He slept and he slept and he slept through the night. He rose with the dawn and the soft golden light. But when he awoke and opened his eyes, the ox was amazed by a wondrous surprise. He looked all around, and what did he find? He couldn't believe he no longer was blind. The hillside, the village, the stable, the tree, all that he gazed at was plain as could be. He rubbed both his eyes, then rubbed them again. Now he saw donkeys and camels and men. All that was blurry was now crystal clear. Even the mountains appeared very near. He got to his feet and walked through the field. His leg was all better. His limp had been healed. He ran to the stable and danced through the door. He didn't feel grumpy or old anymore. The ox was so grateful he started to sing. It must be a gift from the king. The baby from heaven, it just has to be. I drank from the water and now I feel free. I ate from the manger and now I can see. He started to cry and shouted with glee. I can see, at last I can see.
Another beautiful story. Again, focusing on the real meaning of Christmas. The Grumpy Old Ox, and the illustrations in this book are just beautiful. Richard Cowdery, who is the illustrator, he's a New York Times best-selling artist that did the pictures for the Grumpy Old Ox. So you can go to our online store at prolifeproducts.org and place your order today for the Grumpy Old Ox. And of course, wasn't that terrific that we heard Pat Boone reading Little Star for us? So both of these beautiful, beautiful Christmas books are available at prolifeproducts.org. And of course, at our online store for the Christmas season, we have a lot of beautiful items, other books, resource, a beautiful brand new book written by Father Pavone called Christmas for the Unborn. We got a great t-shirt and hoodie called Social Justice Begins in the Womb. So check out with your Christmas shopping, prolifeproducts.org, and especially these two beautiful children's books. This is Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Thank you for joining me on Just Ask Janet. God bless.
I will be sad.